Lena didn't believe in intense love. Not the kind people wrote about, not the kind that made you reckless or sleepless or dramatic. She thought those relationships burned fast and ended badly. What she wanted, what she trusted, was something steady, something that didn't surprise you. That was why Aaron made sense. He entered her life in the most forgettable way possible, assigned seats in a classroom. He didn't introduce himself with confidence or humor. He just nodded once, like they had already agreed to something neither of them had said out loud. It took 3 days for them to speak, 7 for them to start sitting together at lunch, 3 weeks before it became expected. And that was how it stayed, quiet, predictable, easy. Aaron never rushed anything. He didn't flirt much, didn't push boundaries, didn't ask personal questions too soon. He let things exist exactly as they were. At first, Lena thought it meant he didn't care enough. Then she realized something else. He cared in a very controlled way. There were rules, though they were never spoken. He always walked her halfway home, but never the whole way. He always texted first, but only at certain times. He remembered everything about her, but revealed very little about himself. And Lena accepted it, not because she didn't notice, but because nothing about it felt dangerous. If anything, it felt safe in a strange, structured way. It felt like being inside something carefully built. The first time she tried to step outside that structure, it didn't go well. "Come over this weekend," Lena said one afternoon, casually. "My parents won't mind." Aaron didn't answer right away. He was staring ahead, watching people cross the street like he was tracking something invisible. "I don't really go to people's houses," he said. "Why not?" A pause, then a small shrug. "Just don't." It wasn't defensive, it wasn't emotional, just final. Lena could have pushed, but she didn't, because something in his tone made it clear this wasn't a boundary you negotiated, it was one you either respected or broke. Instead, she adapted. That became the quiet pattern of their relationship. Aaron set limits, and Lena adjusted around them. If he avoided crowded places, they didn't go. If he didn't like spontaneous plans, she stopped suggesting them. If he redirected conversations about his past, she let him. It didn't feel like control. It felt like cooperation. At least that's what she told herself. 4 months in, Lena realized something unsettling. She didn't actually know where Aaron lived. Not exactly. She knew the general direction. She'd seen him walk that way after school, but he always parted from her at the same intersection, always with the same calm, "I'll text you later." She had never seen his house, never met anyone in his life, never even heard a real story about his childhood. It wasn't that he refused to talk about it, he just never did. Like it didn't exist. The grocery incident cracked something open. Seeing him there, different, distant, with someone else, felt like glimpsing a version of him she wasn't supposed to see. But what stayed with her wasn't just that he ignored her, it was the look on his face. Not panic, not guilt. Recognition, followed by decision. He had chosen to not know her. After that, Lena started noticing things she had ignored before. Aaron scanned rooms when they entered, subtle but consistent. He preferred sitting where he could see exits. He reacted quickly to unexpected noises, not dramatically, just precisely. and sometimes, when she thought she wasn't paying attention, his expression would go completely blank, not sad, not thoughtful, empty, like he'd stepped out of himself for a moment. The article changed everything, but not in the way Lena expected. It didn't make her afraid of him, it made her afraid of how little it surprised her. When she saw his photo, 8 years younger, labelled missing, there was no shock, just a quiet confirmation of something she hadn't fully understood. Aaron hadn't been hiding something recent, he had been hiding everything. After he told her the truth, what little of it he chose to share, the dynamic between them shifted in ways neither of them acknowledged directly. Lena stopped asking about his past. Aaron stopped pretending he had one. They continued seeing each other, same routines, same places, same conversations. But now there was an awareness underneath everything, like they were both pretending the relationship was still normal, even though they knew it wasn't. The darker part didn't come from what Aaron had done, it came from what Lena started doing. She began adjusting more, not just her plans, but her thinking. She stopped mentioning him around her family, stopped tagging him in anything, stopped expecting consistency outside the patterns he set. Without realizing it, she was making him easier to disappear. One night, about 6 months in, Lena broke the unspoken rules again, not directly, but enough. "Do you ever think about staying?" she asked one evening. They were sitting on the bench, their usual spot. The air was colder now, the evenings shorter. Aaron didn't look at her. "I'm staying," he said. "That's not what I mean." Silence stretched between them. "I mean like actually staying, like building something, being somewhere long-term." Aaron exhaled slowly. "That's not how it works for me." "Why not?" This time he did look at her, and for the first time there was something close to frustration in his expression. "Because the moment I stay too long," he said, "everything starts closing in." "Closing in how?" "People expect things, they notice patterns, they ask questions, they connect things." Lena frowned. "That's normal." "Exactly." That was the moment Lena understood the real problem. Aaron wasn't just avoiding his past, he was avoiding being known. Not in a poetic, mysterious way, in a deliberate, practiced way. From then on, every moment they spent together felt temporary. Even when things were good, especially when they were good, there was an underlying tension. Because Lena knew it couldn't last, and Aaron knew it shouldn't. The breaking point wasn't dramatic, no argument, no betrayal, just a conversation that went a little too far. "You're going to leave," Lena said one evening. It wasn't a question. Aaron didn't deny it. "You already know that," he replied. "Then why start this at all?" That made him pause. Not long, but long enough. "I didn't plan to." "That's not an answer." He looked at her carefully. "I thought I could handle it. And now? I can't." Lena expected to feel angry, but mostly she felt something else. Clarity. "Was any of it real?" she asked. Aaron didn't hesitate. "Yes." That should have made it better. It didn't. In the days that followed, nothing visibly changed. They still met, still talked, still followed the same routines. But now every interaction felt like a countdown. Every goodbye felt slightly more final, every silence slightly heavier. The last time Lena saw him, it felt ordinary. That was the worst part. They sat on the bench, talked about nothing important, watched people pass by. At some point, Aaron stood up.
"I'll text you later." Same words as always, same tone, but this time Lena didn't believe it. "Okay," she replied. She didn't ask him to stay, didn't try to change his mind, because she finally understood something. You can't convince someone to exist in a way they've spent years learning to avoid. He never texted, not that night, not the next day, not ever. Weeks passed, then months. Lena didn't look for him, not because she didn't want to, but because she knew how pointless it would be. Aaron hadn't just left, he had erased his presence. No social media, no fixed address, no connections tying him down. It was like trying to find someone who had already decided to not be found. But the twist, the part Lena didn't understand until much later, was